The Building Better Business podcast is the best place to learn how to take your business to the next level. It's no longer enough to earn good profits. You need to develop a network of connections as well as use all types of marketing to your advantage that will put you over the edge. Hosted by me, Steve Eschbach, a financial executive with decades of experience in dealing with businesses and business people, we'll learn how this all comes together. Join me and my expert guests as we delve into the many facets of owning the business and how to become a good, caring business owner. Listen how making a difference in your community can attract all sorts of clientele, which in turn will build you a better business. Greetings of the day, my fellow Building Better Businesses listeners, and welcome to another edition of our program. My name is Steve Eschbach. I am your host. I am also the owner of Trans World Business Advisors of Naperville. I am one of 6 Chicagoland Trans World offices. There are about 250 of us worldwide. Trans World Business Advisors is the largest business brokerage and the fastest growing business brokerage in the world. We primarily cater to small business owners. We assist them confidentially sell their businesses and match them with qualified buyers. We also do franchise sales and franchise development. And as you can gather later on in our program, you'll understand that there is a legal aspect to all that I do. And Jonathan Sparks, our guest today, will tell us a little bit about that shortly. But first of all, Jonathan, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And tell me about your firm, which you currently run. It's an independent legal firm after a stop with the United States government and a corporate role. So go ahead, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me so much. I mean, this is great. Love your podcast. Happy to be a guest on the show. We do all things business law, and we like to kind of, kick back and let our hair down and, not take ourselves too seriously, but still get the jobs done and the results that our clients are looking for. We like to say that we offer creative legal ideas that spark the entrepreneurial fire. So we're very creative entrepreneurs ourselves. And that's kind of what we do. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice way to tie in your name to your philosophy. That's pretty interesting. Before we start getting a little bit more into your firm now, let's go down memory lane a little bit. Let's rewind the videotape to your childhood. Where were you born and raised? What kind of influence did you have from the family, mom and dad, et cetera, as you were growing up to get you to where you are today?
Yeah, that's interesting. Sounds like a therapy appointment. I think it's important to talk about your parents and your upbringing, especially with regards to entrepreneurship, because it affects your mindset so much. And I think your mindset is a powerful tool or a powerful liability, depending on where it's at for your business. And entrepreneurship is, really the best way for personal growth because it's just you and the floor, right? You're either successful or you're not. No one's going to baby you, and say, oh no, we're going to give you a participation award. Like you just can't do it. So no, I grew up in a world of entrepreneurship. My father's an ER doctor, at first, and then on the side, believe it or not, he maintained those crazy hours, and literally up all night, he would be writing medical books, training books for other doctors to take their boards. And he just found a niche back in late 80s where nobody had any study guides, and just started that company. And they've grown to, I think, over 80 employees now, and they're using their materials at Stanford, a bunch of cool places like that. So certainly we're successful, but when we first started, the whole family got in on the deal, and we were licking stamps, for the grassroots mail outs. So we didn't want to hire a marketing company. We just wanted to, I remember it specifically, he hand signed every letter to medical students. And it was something like 1,000, letters he needed to sign per day. And the poor guy got terrible cramps and carpal tunnel. So then we invested, one of the first company assets was a stamp for his signature, which was a God-given asset.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Technology has changed even on the postal stamp side. You don't lick them anymore. They're now peel and stick, if you will. One other funny thing about your experience, I remember my father was a salesman, and every Christmas he would send Macintosh apples to his clients. But he had his kids, me, my brother, and 2 sisters, do the autographing for him. And we had to practice writing like he did to autograph all of those Christmas cards. That was kind of an interesting thing. And your father did the same thing. So good for him. So there was an entrepreneurial spirit from the get-go for you. But however, were you always thinking about a legal career, or was it just entrepreneurial in general?
I wasn't always thinking of a legal career. I started out actually in, doing whatever I could to make money in the music industry, believe it or not. And I found that I had a real knack for negotiating record deal contracts for some of my buddies.
Oh, wow.
So this was right in the early 2000s, late 90s, when sort of the whole industry was caving and tanking. And, we still had these leftover egregious contract terms and things, but the money was quickly drying up. So it made for a really interesting industry to be in. And I was just kind of, on the up and up, on the latest for everything that was changing. And I could negotiate my way through a lot of the deals. So people started saying, you really need to go to law school because you're good at this, But yeah, then I went to law school and found out that I was very entrepreneurial and wasn't very interested in certain, law school classes like torts and stuff, but I was very interested in everything to do with business and business law and stocks and securities and, partner disputes and things like that. So that's where I gravitated towards.
Now, given what you just said, you had a couple of stocks that were non-entrepreneurial. You mentioned that you were an intern at the Department of Justice, where you worked there for a short while. And it looks like you also were employed by a legal firm. So there was maybe a sidestep, if you will, of non-entrepreneurial to get your start. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think everything is sort of entrepreneurial. Even if you're working a 9 to 5, you're still a salesperson, you're still an entrepreneur, you're hustling and marketing yourself, and just working on your personal image. It just might be that brand is just for one boss as opposed to, a couple thousand clients.
No, I get it. You're so right.
But I did start out at the Department of Justice. I had an idea to get into politics in the early 2000s, but I kind of got a glimpse into that world and was pretty sick to my stomach.
Back then, huh?
Yeah, no, it was already getting pretty bad. So there was a bill. I don't want to get into the details of it, but basically it was just pooping on the Fourth Amendment. And I brought this up to my superiors, congressmen, and said, hey, there's no way that the Supreme Court's going to uphold this law because it totally violates the Fourth Amendment. And, that's what Jefferson put into place. It was a very important amendment. But they said, no, we just want to get it in there for the constituents. We just have to worry about getting votes, and who cares? I said, well, I care. So I left.
That's politics. Yeah. So I get that. So how long were you at the DOJ? Not very long, I would imagine.
I think it was 6 months. It might have been 9. It wasn't that long. We had really interesting cases actually against other entrepreneurs. It was a takings case. It was the biggest one that I was on. But it's, I don't know. That'd be a good half-hour funny podcast, but not so business related.
We'll have you on to talk about that because there's many aspects to business and law and whatnot that are quite interesting. So there you went and joined a firm in Atlanta. Tell us a little bit about that. So you were actually, like you said, even though you were an employee of the law firm, you were entrepreneurial in and of yourself. So tell us a little bit about that experience.
I worked at King Spalding. It's a very major firm in the Atlanta area. I think there's something like 1,500 or 2,000 attorneys worldwide. So very big. We had the skyscraper, office that was super nice and had an amazing view. And, I wanted to move up the ladder like they told us in the 50s that you should do. But then I quickly realized that they were on more of a seniority-based system than a merits-based system. So my entrepreneurial efforts to do an amazing job for them were not going to be really noticed. And my superior kind of pulled me aside one day and he said, hey, Jonathan, I know you're like really working hard here, but that guy has been here, 12 years and he went to Harvard.
Yeah.
So, and he gets paid like, I think it was like $10,000 more per year than I did at the time. And I was like, yep, this might not be the best business plan. So, I ended up opening up my own law firm and, we grew rather quickly. So it was a good decision, I think.
Good for you. Good for you. So your background talks a little bit about how you do business aspect law, if you will, for Georgia businesses. So what are the common types of projects that you're getting involved with your local business owners?
We do a lot of mergers and acquisition deals, like the ones that you work with, but there's also, partnership agreements. There's a lot of independent contractor and employment agreements. In Georgia, there's a lot of non-compete law issues, on both sides of the table. We do customer contracts for tech companies. It's a big deal now to get the right, privacy policy written up and terms and conditions like the click-through agreement. We also work with trademarks and patents right now, which is very exciting. Help people protect their brands and their IP, and really anything that goes wrong or with a business or anything that they're looking to accomplish. There's sort of a legal piece of it that we enjoy coming in on. So,
right. So how do you market your clients? What type of client is best for you, and how do you get them, or are they coming to you? How does that work?
I think most of what our marketing strategy that's worked has just been, good word of mouth. So we just try to do an epic job. We try to do it, under promise and way over deliver. I treat it like a company first and a law firm second. So we have a real good assembly line. We have a production department, filled with lawyers and paralegals. We have a lot of administrative support. And we're not billing by the minute typically. So we'll give people, a no pressure flat fee with a strict deadline that we put on ourselves. This will be completed within 3 business days of your payment. And that just makes it really easy for people. It's almost like they're ordering a legal product from Amazon, right. So they know what they're going to get and they can trust in that.
So I crack a smile. My first experience with a lawyer was during a transition in the late 90s at a separation agreement from the company I was working at. Okay. And I actually got a bill from the lawyer, and they billed in 6-minute increments. And one of the line items was, listen to Steve Eschbach's voicemail message, 6 minutes. Give Steve a call. He wasn't there, 6 minutes. And there are some of my clients who are dealing with lawyers that do that. They would rather, like you do, bill by the project as opposed to the minutia detail related to all the work that you're doing. So in some respects, that helps. So your firm, you started it when, and now you have how many? Tell me about the process of you growing your own law firm.
We started in 2013. Everything I was taught in law school was to bill hourly like that. And if it's a lawsuit or something, we'll still bill hourly because it's that way it's tied to the work we do. But yeah, we made the switch, I think about 9 or 10 months in, and I noticed like a 30% jump in revenue immediately upon our decision to use flat fees rather than hourly. I think business owners, they just want to pay for results, so just tell me what it costs. I don't want to give someone a blank check, especially someone that I haven't worked with before. So, that's worked out very well for everybody. So yeah, we started in 2013. I think I'm not sure there's, a lot of ramping up that we're doing now. We just added a real estate department to do a bunch of closings for people. And we're acquiring another firm as well. So I think our staff is a little over 20 now, but I could be off by a few. We have 8 lawyers at this point.
Right. You mentioned that you, when you said started, you said we started. So was it you and someone else?
Oh, it was just me. Yeah. I just refer to us we because we're more of a team.
That's
and
correct.
People will ask, oh, so it's just you. And I'm like, no, I play an integral role, but there's no way that I could do the amount of legal work that we do without all the help of my team.
No, I totally get that. Is there any common type of business themes or business law themes that your firm works on? Because I heard a lot about trademark, I heard about real estate closings. I heard about mergers and acquisitions. It sounds like it's pretty varied, but is there a specialty that your firm actually, caters to at all?
So we kind of have different specialties among the attorneys that are on our team. My specialty is in negotiating deals, so I'm very good at, mediating a business divorce, for example. I'm very good at getting a new acquisition across the finish line. I can handle, high emotions and anxiety from both sides, and it's not a big deal for me. I also specialize in a lot of construction law stuff. So there's highly specialized agreements that we can write for, subcontractors to avoid a major sort of penalty on the workers' comp audits. If you're in this industry, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you're not, it might be kind of foreign.
Yeah. So there's a lot that business owners have got to be aware of. And my most recent podcast interview was with cybersecurity, and some of us take that for granted. But same with law. I mean, you can't really take this stuff for granted. On the cyberspace side, you're equally as vulnerable as you are on the legal side. So, what's your advice to business owners in terms of their involvement with a firm like yours? What do they need to be looking out for? Whether it be a small business, I know construction's got workers' comp. But what are some of the more common areas that seem to be applicable to most of your clients that business owners should be keen on?
Honestly, I think the biggest issue that business owners really need to be aware of now is that the technology is not there. So we have this idea, this sort of halo of safety around technology and software and things producing legal documents. But the technology that we have currently for like a template for that is basically akin to me walking into a hospital and the doctor or nurse even saying, "Hey, Jonathan," or whoever your name is, "I'm going to give you the exact same prescription and diagnosis as the last 5 people that came in here. And no, I don't want to know anything about you uniquely. Just take this and go." So is there a chance that I have the exact same, dilemma that the others do? Yeah, there's a chance, but 99.99% of the time it's going to be off and it could cause me a lot of harm. But because I'm not a doctor, I don't know what that harm is until it's way too late and I'm analyzing the contract or template or whatever, BS thing I wrote my information into at court, So I've noticed this trend for business owners to try to, save money and eschew actual lawyers that are licensed and worried about committing malpractice and want to do a great job for, companies like LegalZoom or even Legal Shield and whatever things they can download online. So there are some documents that are pretty boilerplate, yes, but they're few and far between. And if you have any kind of a company, I would hope that it would be somewhat unique. Otherwise, someone else is probably doing it better than you anyway. So if you have a unique company, you need a unique customer contract. You need a unique partnership agreement. If you have business partners, you need branding help, that sort of thing, so that you don't lose everything you have.
Well, it's interesting that your comment about getting legal advice. Transworld Business Advisors is a franchise and their corporate headquarters are in Florida. And you, as a new business owner, you leave Transworld's headquarters with all the documentation in place, ready to start your business. However, the last word of advice they give you, here are your templates for your marketing agreement, for your closing documents. They caution you, make sure you have a local state lawyer review it for applicability to your particular state. And that is so critical. But, you need to be able, you have to do that because otherwise there could be some misstatements there that apply to one state, not the other. So I totally get with what you're saying. What other type of advice would you give business owners? Let's say it's a brand new company. Let's say it's you in 2013. There's a couple people there and you're just starting out. And again, it's not a law firm because you probably would know a little bit better. But if there's a small mom and pop, like 5 or under, what would be the first 2 or 3 pieces of advice you'd give a business owner to say, you got to be on the lookout for this once you get started? What would that be?
It would probably be, figure out what works and do that more, and whatever does not work. And I mean, immediately working for you, stop doing. We have this maybe Puritan mindset or something where, if we do more labor, we will get paid more money. But that's like a BS idea that doesn't work for entrepreneurs. If you do more of the right type of work, you can and will make more money, yes. But if you do more of the wrong type of work that doesn't push the meter at all, you're not going to make anything. So it's not, I like to call it the procrastinating productive, stuff. So I'm thinking like, hey, if I spend another, 10 hours making adjustments to my website or reading a book about how to build a website or something, that'll result in more money. But in truth, it's not going to. What's really going to result in more money for your startup company is to go out and get more customers or reach them directly. Nobody's trying to find your website that's built off of a 1995 platform,
Funny you mentioned that. Some of the businesses I deal with, their websites are a little outdated. They're getting customers like crazy, but some of the stuff on their website is not totally accurate, but they are getting new customers. So that's good advice. Jonathan, unfortunately, we're approaching near the end of our time allotment. Is there anything in our questions that I asked that you didn't cover that you want the audience to know?
No, I mean, this has been great. I hope it's been helpful for our listeners. The only other thing is, we don't really look at our trusts and estates much, but that's an important key component. Business owners can tend to, not have a trust or not really think about it. But all of my assets and value is in my company. So if I pass away and that company gets frozen in probate, my children are not going to be able to benefit from, the value and the revenue of my company. It's just going to tank. So there's ways around that, but just talk to a good attorney and, make sure they can help.
Well, that comment begs for some more Q&A, but unfortunately, we don't have enough time for that, Jonathan. Thanks so much for sharing what you did. Last but not least, how can we find out more about Jonathan Sparks and your law firm? How do we go find out more information about you?
On our website, we've got a good free business assessment quiz. If you'd like to go through it, I'd be happy to waive the consult fee if you feel like talking to me. Just mention this podcast. Our website is sparkslawpractice.com. And my email is jsparks@sparkslawpractice.com. Thanks for having me.
And if I was to fill out that form, if I'm in Illinois, which is where I am, it's not state-centric, right? It would be applicable, generally speaking. So that's good to know. Yes. Jonathan, I appreciate you sharing your insights. Thanks for your time. Listeners, thanks for listening in on another edition of Building Better Businesses. Hopefully you found this worthwhile. I know I did. And for more subject material items in our podcast series, be sure to check us out. Thanks so much and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.